Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Behind the Struggle podcast. I'm your boy, CEO, and I'm joined by, as always...
Not always, but, the MVP. Wow. I'm just kidding. It's your girl, Alexia. Excuse you, Tyler.
And we're joined by Tyler Smith. Tyler, please reintroduce yourself for, the fourth or fifth time you've been on here.
By popular demand, I'm back. Set these guys straight. Tyler Smith, filmmaker out of Westchester, New York.
You guys already know the deal. You guys can follow us on IG as well as on Apple Podcasts and Spotify at Behind the Struggle, also the YouTube channel. YouTube. But that aside, guys, we do not have the other two members of our panel just due to scheduling conflicts, and the other guy he's out. Yeah, he had a little a dental issue, so he's not going to be available. He's getting his wisdom teeth taken out, so his mouth is out of order. Big pause. Yeah, but just being transparent with y'all. Anyways, so today, y'all, we're going to be comparing our top 5 list. That was the season finale we did last season of the greatest rappers of all time to Billboards, because that seemed to cause a lot of debate amongst people on who was on that top 5.
Including us.
Yeah. So that's what we're here to discuss today. Alexia, I'm going to give it to you for you to run down who was the top 5 Billboard and we had and their criteria and how it's different from
Okay, bye. Well, thanks. So, if you guys remember, we agreed on pretty much 7 things, but 2 of them were too basic. Obviously they needed to be there in order for them to be even considered. So I'll say them anyway. They were writes their own stuff and their confidence, I guess on stage presence, on the mic, whatever. But the other things were they needed at least 3 classic albums, their impacts, their cultural impact, their timeliness, meaning how their work aged, their respect or street cred, and then the duration they've been in the game. That's what we agreed on. So Chris, why don't you tell the people what Billboard's qualifications were?
Words are hard, I know. So Billboard's criteria, as they had it, was body of work and achievements, and that basically encompasses the charted singles, albums, gold and platinum certifications, their cultural impact or influence, so basically how they've helped progress the genre, longevity, their years on the mic, lyrics, their storytelling skills, and flow, vocal prowess. So that was Billboard's criteria. So there are definitely some similarities between ours and theirs, but I do see some differences and things that they included that we chose to omit.
Tyler, what do you think about Billboard's list? I mean, their list of qualifications, not their list of rappers.
I personally don't like bringing achievements into the conversation. I think it distracts from the talent, but for an organization like Billboard, it makes sense. And let's leave it there.
I mean, it is Billboard, so they chart what's on the Billboard, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's they have to, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. All right, so Lexi, I'm gonna let you go through this top 5 because you seem to want to make a point based on our top 5 and Billboard's top 5, because we already know your undying love for a certain hip-hop MC. So go ahead, Alexia. Just, repeat what our top 5 was and then Billboard's top 5.
Woo! What an honor. Okay, so they concluded that you
guys listening can't see her face right now, but it's great.
Nor Chris choking on his drink. So they concluded that number 1 was Jay-Z. Number 2 was Kendrick. We had Nas at 3. Oh, wait. That's Billboard's top 5. I can't read, y'all. My eyes are too small. I just exposed. Surprise! It's Billboard's top 5.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm sober, you guys. So Billboard's top 5, since I'm already there, was Jay-Z, Kendrick, Nas, Tupac, and then Eminem. Our top 5 was Jay-Z, Nas, Kendrick at 3, Lil Wayne, and then Eminem. So interesting to me that pretty much 2 of ours were, remember that game with the 4 colors and you had to guess like the order of the colors, and I would tell you, oh, you have one wrong, one play. What's that game called?
Alexia's childhood was different, y'all. All right.
You guys, you know the game. I forget what it's called, but there was no stop. There was like 4. It's like a sequence, right? And you have to guess the code, and there's 4 colors, or it could be numbers, but it's usually
Alexia
colors.
was
and
born in a lab. They ran extensive tests.
y'all fucked up because I'm being dead ass trying to
There was
make
a lot of
like,
other agents she beat out when she escaped.
She's the strongest one.
That's why I have no vision. They're like, they took that away. Too powerful.
Too powerful. Make her blind.
Anyways, the point was 2 of our rappers were the same as Billboard's, and then 2 others were on the list.
Just like that game.
You know the game I'm talking about where there was. Anyway, the 2 other rappers were on the list, but maybe not in the same exact place. So I think that's interesting because I had no idea Billboard was even compiling this list when we recorded initially. Like, honestly, I don't know if you guys did, but it's actually interesting how similar they are. I just want to point out, since I'm sure the listeners know that after we took Eminem out of the first round, I sort of checked out the rest of the podcast. And I just want to say Billboard doesn't even have Lil Wayne in the top 5. So that's all.
Tyler X, where you at, boy?
Come at me, Tyler X.
All right.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I'm going to jump in for the other Tyler. Tupac is not a top 5 rapper. Come at me in the comments. I'm ready.
But who do you think should be there? Mobb Deep? Sorry.
I heard mom. I was like, I mean, I don't think so.
My mom? Yeah.
Again, they ran a lot of tests
My
on
mom?
her, okay? She barely escaped.
Y'all, it's like Stranger Things right now in this bitch.
No,
I'm saying...
I don't think mom. No.
That's when I talk about Tupac, I say, what you mean, 2? So you should know I'm talking about Tupac. Because we say M? I'm joking.
I'm dead, bro. Mob?
All right. Unlike, unsubscribe, uncomment. We understand.
Oh, fuck.
I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, yeah. Tupac. I mean, for a list like this, I understand why Tupac's here. Our list was constructed a little differently. I think objectively, Tupac is not number 4 because Biggie's a better rapper. Everyone agrees. Everyone agrees. Everyone who's being honest with themselves agrees that Biggie is a better rapper than Tupac. Now, Tupac might have better X, Y, and Z, but in terms of rapping, Biggie's rapping circles around Tupac every time.
I would actually agree with that.
And I'm not disagreeing, but I'm just asking, like, I guess devil's advocate. According to Billboard's criteria that we read to you, does Tupac actually surpass Biggie based on this criteria that they've set forth?
I think
maybe.
Tupac's legacy is stronger than Biggie Small's legacy. And I think that's probably what gave him the edge. If you're looking just strictly, I think, as a rapper and lyrics, yeah, Biggie Smalls all day. I don't know, I think Tupac had some powerful messages, but he's not someone that, if I was to have him battle against anybody else on that list, like comparing him against Kendrick or Jay or Nas or M, he would lose against all these people. Where Biggie, I think, would actually have a fighting chance if we're just looking at it from a battle standpoint.
And the last 7 or 8 years, Tupac has been popular again. I think Gen Z might have discovered him recently. And so
wow.
I think there's a lot of inflated numbers there.
Let me also point out, just for, fuck's sake, excuse me, that Biggie's actually number 6 on Billboard's top 5. So
right.
I didn't mention him, but he's literally the next one.
Well, I think definitely on our list, right? We omitted people like Tupac and Biggie only because they had passed before their prime. So it's we didn't include them based on the criteria that we created because there was no way to see how their work would have aged.
Right, because if we did that for all of these rappers only in their prime, I do think this list would be significantly different.
I agree.
I think either way, I don't think Biggie and Pac make the top 5. That's
That's a fair assessment that we concluded in our original podcast. Yes.
We're in New York. There's a lot of old heads around, but I think if you're being honest with yourself. But again, based on their criteria, it's not the worst list. You know, there's a couple of snubs. There's a couple of weird placements. But just sticking to the top 5, it's not terrible. Like, if aliens came and they wanted to learn about rap and you gave them this top 5, I wouldn't be mad at it, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, again, because we even talked about it in our finale last season, that Kendrick is phenomenal. There's no denying that, but he is still fresh and like maybe in his prime as well. And he's number 2 according to them. We put him down to 3 only because we don't know where he's going to go, only where he's sort of.
No, we put him on 3 because CEO had an agenda that episode.
Nah, I'm happy you brought that up because disclaimer, y'all, I do want to address this. I was wilding on that episode. I listened to it in hindsight. I was bugging. My bias was showing like crazy. And even I was like, I'm saying some wild ass shit.
Okay, but so was X about Lil Wayne. Come on.
Thanks, Alexia.
And I quote, JC doesn't have memorable songs. How many? Like 3?
Yo, bro, let me tell you something. I listened to that episode and I have a lot of cringe moments with myself. I'm like, did I really say that? I was wilding. So I'm going to put that out there. But that aside, for me, that was actually where I did have a little bit of contention with, because based on our criteria, you know, it was about longevity and how long people have been in the game. And Nas is still a relatively active MC. It's not like Jay-Z where he dropped an album and then every year or 2 we get a feature verse from Jay-Z that kind of reminds everybody of his greatness. Like, Nas is still consistently dropping albums that are performing well. He just sold out the Garden a couple months ago. So it's not like no one knows or is not listening to Nas. So I still kind of stand by the point that I think it's too soon to put Kendrick Lamar at number 2. And that's not me knocking his talent. He's an amazing MC. I just think it's too soon to put him right under Jay-Z and above Nas. So that even if it wasn't Nas that was number 2, if it was M or anybody else, I still think it's too soon for him to be number 2.
I mean, I don't know. Because, like, by that logic, you can never have an accurate list because there's always someone who's only 10 to 12 years in. But I think in his 10 to 12 years, he's proven, like, his 10 to 12 years versus an Eminem or a Jay-Z or a Nas 10 to 12 years, you know, that's like a whole different conversation. Kendrick's like, I'd argue Kendrick's is potentially better than some of those in certain aspects. So
I don't disagree, but we haven't seen like a decline yet. So there's not really a way of telling. And again, I'm not belittling his talent. He is extremely talented. But just like you said, Tupac and Biggie shouldn't be in the top 5 based on, you know, I guess the longevity aspect alone. Then Kendrick's kind of in the same boat just because modern day, he's amazing. He definitely is. But if Tupac and Biggie don't even get considered, then maybe Kendrick shouldn't either, even though he's phenomenal. It's just maybe too soon. But I don't know. I'm glad he's on the list. I'm not saying he shouldn't be, but
I don't know if he's number 2. I think he's top 5 objectively.
I would agree with that.
But maybe at number 5.
Yeah, but I think you make an interesting point. Yeah. I think Alexia makes an interesting point because if we're going based on the criteria and the longevity and, you know, the time in the game, and that's why Biggie and Pac have been omitted, I think it's the same thing for Kendrick Lamar.
I admit Biggie and Pac because I think they're not as good as the other people on the list, is why I admit them. Not their longevity necessarily.
That totally makes sense, and I agree with you. But now I'm saying if we did this, and if we were this age and we did this 20 years ago, Kendrick wouldn't be in the conversation. We'd be talking about Biggie and Tupac. So it is generational things. So when we're saying GOAT, again, we're trying to be greatest of all time, not the generation that needs it now.
Well, I think we're currently talking about in the last 50 years because hip-hop is 50 years old this year. You know, so we're encompassing all that. I get your point that depending on what era or generation we were going by, the conversation is always going to change. And we can't speak to the future as much as we can speak to the past.
But still, like you said, hip-hop is now 50 years old or whatever, so that is the basis we're going off of. We have an exact birth date. Weird. So we can literally say 50 years, who is the greatest in the 50 years? And let me bring up, since you said, I'm going to bring it back to my boy. Yes. Since it's been 50 years, we were like, oh, well, recently, M hasn't done a bunch of things and people like forgot about him. But we saw like statistically, people listen to him on YouTube more than anybody else. He surpassed Lil Wayne and that's what we were not biased, but we like were misinformed. So when we recorded the podcast, we were like, oh, Lil Wayne is better because no. Eminem has more playtime, okay?
On Spotify too, he does, yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that you brought up that is interesting, because I was gonna touch on that too, because I think a lot of us were discussing like, oh, Eminem's relevancy and nobody really listens anymore, but it's like still in the year 2022 or even 2023 and the year 2021, like he's still the most viewed rapper on YouTube, like his videos, and then same thing on Spotify. So it's like, somebody's listening, bro. Like, for him to be the most. I was like, so he's obviously still relevant.
Plural, yes, thank you.
So.
But again, I think that's my biggest problem with these lists, or not these lists, with these criteria, is that I'm pretty sure Beastie Boys is still the highest grossing rap group, but they're not beating Tribe, right? It's like.
Talk to him.
Those statistics rub me the wrong way sometimes. I don't know.
Fine, yes, but we can't deny their existence, just like we can't deny that Billboard made this list and it doesn't exactly match ours. So that's why we're discussing it. Welcome to Behind the Struggle.
Does Billboard have a number we can call?
I'm not sure.
1-800, you're wrong. I'm just kidding. I also want to point out that, honestly, Lil Wayne came up as number 7 on Billboards. So yeah. It's not like I hate him and he's horrible. Like, yes, he's good. I'm just saying Eminem's better. That's all.
And I think the reason why Biggie and Pac are there is to mitigate to mitigate their angry comments.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why Kendrick's number 2 is to mitigate any angry comments. I don't know that he's number 2 right now.
Yeah, I'll definitely say there's definitely some politics at play here, and I know for a lot of people, Tupac still holds an emotional place for them. Like you said, like even now, like he's come back up into like relevancy. But my thing with that is, I think that a lot of people, like, I think it's the nostalgia that speaks to it as far as like people's memories of Tupac. But if we're like going down like bar for bar lyrics, like getting like into the nitty gritty, like, he doesn't really hold up, and I think rap has evolved so much today, and as far as the flow, content, styles, production, that it's like.
I think you have an excellent point, but Tyler's still right. If they weren't in this list, like the public would freak out.
Is this the struggle part?
We're struggling.
I'm struggling. Don't worry, we're just plugging the phone in.
I believe in you guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
You can still talk while I'm
All right, sorry. I was like,
okay, keep it
part,
right.
I saw like this pump on her back. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Fucking mind your business.
Check it out.
I was like, she got a tail now.
It's a bow. Relax, y'all. Y'all forgot I was a female.
If we get 1 million subscribers by December, Alexia will reveal her weird tail.
Remember, she was built in a lab, guys. So
Apes.
But no, yeah. So
Andre 3000 is number 12, and Drake is number 8.
Yeah, Snoop is another one.
Snoop is number 9.
Another one. Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like, Snoop is whatever. Like, what we know of him, like he's relevant. He's always gonna be relevant. But yeah,
tread lightly. I feel you, but tread lightly. You're getting a little crazy over there.
No. Snoop is a great rapper, but
okay, there we go.
I think lyrically, there's a lot of people I could name that would body him. But I think we're getting focused solely on the lyrics, where Billboard is also taking in everything else into account.
I think, too, a part of us, like the 3 of us or the 5 of us, we're kind of, yeah, if they were here, losers. If they... We are slightly biased in the sense that, like, the lyrics matter, but we're talking lyrics, but also battle lyrics. Just because CEO is so good at that. So we're like, yeah, you better be able to, if you can't body CEO, you're not even like on the list. And it's not really fair, obviously, because it's not like we have anything to compare that to, blah, blah, blah. But it's also not about, oh, like, I don't know, if it's Drake versus Snoop and they had beef, Drake would kill him. But it's like, it's not about the beef, but it is a talent, but it's more fun, but not necessarily like defining. So I think all of us are slightly biased towards this battle part. So I mean, obviously M would body everyone, but that's not the point.
Black Thought is number 28 on that list. That's all I want to say.
I'm happy you brought that up because he was on my mind.
I think that sums up everything we didn't know. So next time, the next 5 years when they put a list out, you can just go to Behind the Struggle and we'll have a better list for you because they don't know what they're doing.
Wow.
Can we have Billboard beef?
I mean, why not?
What's up, Billboard? Behind the Struggle. Behind the Struggle on YouTube and IG. Find me.
We're going to find Anthony
like Cardi
Fantano.
B. It's on site. No, it's not.
We're going to find Anthony Fantano. I'm with it. We all come together. A united front. I'm down with that.
Against Billboard and Rolling Stones.
But another thing I wanted to bring up about the list. So our number one was exactly the same as Billboard's, which was Jay-Z. Which I find interesting because after we did that episode, a number of things came up. And look, I would still keep Jay-Z at number one for other reasons.
Wait. I'm sorry. I want you to have your point, but same shit. I feel like Billboard put Jay-Z as number one because if they didn't, the public would have hysteria. So go ahead.
Yeah, that as well, which is the politics of it. But, and Tyler, this is why I kind of want to refer to you on this because when I was looking back at things in hindsight, right, and we're talking about body of work, achievements, cultural impact, like, obviously all these guys on this list have that. But when I was looking at, like, each year, like, what was the most successful or popular album in the year that they came out?
People have been saying the same argument to me the last couple of weeks, and I disagree, but go on.
But yeah, and I coincide that with the years that Jay-Z's albums that came out. He was never, like, the top selling or most buzzed about album in any year that he came out. So I'm curious as to
that's interesting.
as to what are the other factors that help propel him to the top, because obviously that didn't matter as much for him to have the most impactful number one album in any of the years where he dropped his.
I think as far as Billboard's concerned, Jay-Z, no matter what metric you go by, is probably top 5, and he changes depending on what your criteria is. I think because they're including accolades and sales, well, he's obviously number one. He has 24 Grammys. It's like I don't think it's necessarily politics at that point. I think it's because of their criteria is talking about accolades, awards, sales, that he has 140 million records sold, so it pushes him over the hump. But I think in any list, if he's not top 5, I'm looking at you a little funny, you know?
I would agree with that. I mean, he's definitely has to be there. I just found that curious that
I saw someone say that on Instagram or somewhere, and I didn't 100% agree. I think they worded it really well, and it was a convincing video that I saw. Mm-hmm. But I think one year they were saying DMX's album was better, and I disagreed with that. You know, I think there's some close stuff, but even in those years he's selling more, even if it's not the best album. I don't know. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the ones that I saw as well, I think it was on IG or whatever, they were breaking down, I think, from the year 2000 to like 2012 or whatever, 2000, I think it was 10 years. Mm-hmm. And they were showing the highest grossing, the most popular, critically acclaimed, whatever, like album of each year. Five of those years was Eminem. Eminem had the highest selling one, most critically acclaimed, blah, blah, blah. Lil Wayne had 2, or I think it was 1. 50 Cent had 2 on there, and I think one of them was Kanye West. And I was like, damn, Jay-Z's not even mentioned at all. Like,
well, this is after he came back from retirement the first time too. So keep in mind, going back to the longevity thing.
Well, because correct me if I'm wrong, because I think Jay-Z, he dropped the Blueprint. I think it was 2001, right?
Yes, that sounds
yeah.
right.
So he dropped that. Then I think the year after or 2 years afterwards, he dropped the Blueprint 2, then the Black Album. That was his retirement album. So that was like in the middle of the 2000s if we're going based on that image that I saw. We were basically comparing the top charting albums from 2000 to 2010. So it's like even then, like Jay-Z's last album didn't garner enough attention from the masses to beat out a 50 Cent, Kanye West, a Lil Wayne, or an Eminem.
Yeah, and I understand that that wouldn't mean Jay-Z's not top 5, but it's just still interesting to point out after all of this, after all of these, great things that we can say about him, that just never happened. It's kind of almost more shocking. We're not like, he doesn't deserve that because he doesn't have the album. We're just like, wow, he doesn't have a number 1 album. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think it's like he's excelled in all the other areas when you're looking at cultural impact, influences, longevity, the lyrics flow, and then you look at, I think the cultural impact is another big one, right? Like the artists he's signed or discovered, his relationship, marriage with Beyonce. So I think a lot of these other things play a role into it. And I think even as you said, Tyler, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but isn't he the rapper with the most Grammys?
Currently, yeah. I think he has 24. But Billboard says, quote, Hove has 14 Billboard 200 number 1 albums, the most amongst solo acts. So that includes other genres. And so what I'm saying is, like, for Billboard specifically, it's like, well, every year he has, or not every year, but, he always has 14 number 1 albums. I didn't know Jay-Z had 14 albums.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I'm like trying to count them in my head right now. I think he does.
But, again, specifically for Billboard, I think it's a no-brainer. But I think, to your point, if you, 50 Cent's hot, and then Lil Wayne gets hot, etc., and then, Eminem's doing his thing, and yet that's on one radio station. Do you guys remember radio? That's on one radio station, and if you change to the next station, it's probably the Jay-Z. So if he wasn't number 1 that week in everyone's mind, he was number 2, maybe number 3, if and so I think
he wasn't that far behind.
Versus Nas, who you had to look for him, right?
But now if we're talking radio, then I think Drake is higher than he should be, because if it's radio only.
For sure. No, yeah. I'm talking like early, mid to late 2000s, so like before Drake, yeah. But 100%. Like Drake's numbers are inflated for a myriad of reasons, but he should not be number 8. I know that much.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that play into a factor with like the later artists as well, because you also have streaming as well, where I think it makes the music a lot more accessible, where basically all these apps are on everybody's phones where they can just stream it. So yeah, the numbers are inflated because people can listen to these songs like right there, like right at midnight, right in their bed. That's it. Where back in the day, you had to go to the record store, you had to buy the CD and all this other stuff.
Yeah, so what's interesting as I'm listening to you guys and I'm just like semi-concluding, not wrapping this up, just saying, I think like top 5 of hip-hop of all time, whatever, like the 4 that are there are the 4 that we have matched with Billboard. Number 5, whoever that is, would maybe change based on these criteria and the emotions and whatever happens at that time that we're discussing it. So, right. So I think, regardless of the order, yeah, okay, Jay-Z, Kendrick, Nas, and Eminem, those 4 are gonna be top 5 for ever, and then whoever number 5 is, whether it's Tupac, Biggie, Lil Wayne, like it kind of, that's the one that can keep, I guess, moving around. So again, that means Eminem is not number 5.
Alexia, I'm gonna break your heart. For me, I got Eminem at like 8.
No.
But for the purposes of this podcast, I feel you.
Thank you.
And that's a good segue, actually, because I was going to bring that up. Because off the topic of Jay-Z, looking at our list, also, the one that is in the same spot is Eminem. Eminem is 5 on Billboard's and 5 on ours. And on Billboard's, Lil Wayne is 7. He's behind, no disrespect to the dead, but he's behind 2 rappers that have passed away. He was pushed below because Tupac took number 4, and Biggie is number 6.
And let's be real, 7 is still pretty high compared to 50 for sure, but I don't think he should be there either.
So my thing is this: if we're going based on billboards and we use a little bit of our criteria and we remove Biggie and Tupac, does M now get pushed back up to number 4 and Wayne goes up to number 5 based on some of the other stuff we were talking about as far as Eminem still dominating streaming and even YouTube?
Based on who they have here, I don't know. He might.
You think he might be number 5?
Who?
Lil Wayne.
No, I mean, if you're talking about sales and influence and all the other stuff that they're talking about, yeah. It's hard for me because, like, at that point, it's just a numbers game, right? With, like, a little bit of artistic sprinkled in. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around it that way. Like, Black Thought should be higher. 3 Stack should be higher. Rakim. And there's no Doom on this list. The real GOAT.
Yeah, which I thought was crazy.
For those of you listening at home, I'm wearing a Doom shirt right now. I was hoping he'd give me the energy. They have Rick Ross at 50.
He is, for real.
They have no Doom on this list. Rick Ross at 50. That tells you all you need to know.
Rick Ross at 50!
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
No, I'm not shitting on him. Pause. I just every time I hear Rick Ross, all I think of was,
The boss. Yo, was Lupe on the list at all?
I don't think so. Ooh, Queen Latifah 44. That's good. MC Light. Yeah, I mean, this list.
That's crazy.
Ludacris 39. Luda. I don't know about that.
Well, Tyler, just for reference for the listeners, well, where are you getting the list from? Where are you finding this? So this way, the listeners can try and check this out as well, the list.
I typed in Billboard top 50 rappers.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wait, on Google?
Whoa, we're not sponsored. It was on a search engine. Settle down.
Oh,
facts.
there you go. Google holla at us.
Don't get sponsored.
That too.
Yeah, and it's definitely a list. It's definitely a list. Lil' Kim at 31.
Well, now that you're bringing up female rappers,
That's why I was throwing you the lob the whole time, Ortiz. You finally picked up on it.
I know. I told him to tell me when to start because I'm over here like holding it back. I'm pointing at my watch like, when do you want me to mention this? Because I want to say something. And he's like, dee.
Missy Elliott, 19. That's interesting.
Let me tell you that it's amazing to me that Billboard has number 10 Nicki Minaj. That is amazing because not only is she the highest female rapper, she's top 10 on this list of 50 from 50 years of wow, like that's crazy. So I just wanted to say I want to get more into it, but obviously not here. I think we're going to do another podcast, actually sort of the same thing, but dissecting criteria and who the top 5 female rappers are. And I'm not like males versus females, blah, blah. Like, let's be real. We could have done both of them together. Like, we never said the top male rapper. We said the top rapper, and there wasn't just a female in consideration. So now we have to be like specifically females, not because they are less talented, but because the criteria is very different. So let's do an episode where we discuss that and then pick out a top 5, the 5 of us again.
I mean, that sounds good to me. I definitely think some of the criteria can carry over, but I think some of it will not work. I mean, I could be wrong, but when I always see lists come up about the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, usually the only female rapper that I see that's mentioned always in the top 10 is the Miseducation or Lauryn Hill. Like, I always see Lauryn Hill get mentioned. I don't see anybody else's. And that's not knocking it, so I definitely think we need to have a discussion. I just think the criteria needs to be adjusted a little bit.
So just pointing out that her making the top 10 of just rappers in general, that's amazing. That's amazing to me. So I definitely want to discuss this. Are you down, Tyler? Hello?
I suppose.
Yay!
Once again,
Tyler
I
has to be there, listeners.
Day. Shout out to JJ Fab. Shout out to MC Light. Shout out to who we got? Butterfly.
Honorable mentions. Peanut butter? What? I heard him say peanut butter.
Again, the test in the lab, they did a lot.
Don't forget, my mom should be on the top 10.
My God.
I'm saying, I'm gonna say it again. If I could rhyme, Chris would not have a career, okay?
She's like, oh, my mom should be on the top 10. Mom spaghetti. It's like, oh, Jesus. But no, yeah, I mean, because, and Tyler, you would probably know this a bit more than I would, but I don't think I'm incorrect here. Are there really any female MCs that have 3 classic albums under their belt? I don't think so.
You gonna put me on a spot like that? I don't know.
We're talking about that later anyway. That's for a different podcast.
Yeah. That's going to be for a following episode, guys.
Alexia's mom, I think, has 4. Because that new one just dropped, right?
CEO has got to go.
Wish I had a son.
I'm her son. What you mean? Don't let me expose my brother on this.
Alexia gives no fucks.
Bro, boy, if I could rhyme, I'd be out of a career. If I had bars, it'd be over for you.
All right. Simmer down. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting for us to talk about that because I definitely saw a lot of similarities but differences within our list and billboards, and I just wanted to see how we felt about it in comparison because I don't think we were that far off, if I'm going to be honest.
No. You don't think they were that far off. Our list is better.
But I still love how we had no idea they were going to do that, and then we did it. And I'm not saying we did it first. I'm just saying it's cool that, like, we did do this, and then we have something to compare it to, and, like, I don't know. I think it's cool. Because we didn't know that was going to happen. So to the listeners, again, like, what do you think about Billboard's top 5, top 10 versus our top 5? And, like, who should or should not be there? Why do you disagree or agree with Billboards? And, like, what's up with my girl Nikki, though?
I mean, Nikki's number 10. I mean, look, I don't want to say too much about it. I want to save that for that episode, guys, where we tune in next week. And we're going to be discussing the greatest female rappers of all time and who's number 1. I think we all kind of know who number 1 is, but that's for the next episode. Tyler, you have anything else that you want to share or tell the listeners?
Q-Tip was number 27. It's unjust.
Okay.
Kanye's not number 11. Get at me in the comments. I'm responding to every comment. Kanye is not top 20 in terms of rapping. Get at me in the comments.
Don't let my brother hear this.
I want 50 comments. Oh, send this clip to him. I want 50 comments. I'm responding to each one.
All I saw when you said Q-Tip was all Gen Z, like, what you mean, that little thing you put in your ear? Wow. Yeah, no, for real.
All right, y'all. Well, that's it for this episode. We just wanted to compare our list to Billboard's, kind of dissect that a little bit. But
Tyler kept saying comment, so he means YouTube. So please go to our YouTube Behind the Struggle. You can comment there. He will respond. I will respond. And let us know.
Smoke.
Yes.
I'm going to mind my business. I'm going to stay out of that.
You don't want the smoke?
Nah, I'm good. So, Tyler, please share your plugs. Let people know where they can find you if they want to contact you directly with the smoke. But I prefer they go to the YouTube channel to do that.
CEO@gmail.com is my for any and all hate mail. It's just easier for me to read it that way. Yeah, I'm a filmmaker in Westchester, New York at swindlingfilms.com.
Crazy. Swindling people.
Yeah.
All right, and y'all already know who I am, CEO. You can find all my work at thisisceo.com. And, yeah, that's that. I'm going to, give this some Zuli now.
Don't forget to follow me on IG as well at Lexia_Lou and my TikTok, Asexia. Yes, always the TikTok.
Every other week, I always see an article like they're going to take TikTok down. So
I wish they would, honestly.
Wow, okay, all right.
Use
hashtag
guys, CEO has got to go, and that'll help us cull all the comments into one space.
Hashtag CEO has got to go on the list. The petition starts this week.
That's a whole different hashtag.
But yeah, with that said, everybody,
thanks for listening.
We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.